Hello and welcome to the Ramen Profitable Podcast. My name is Atish Mazumdar and I'm here with my co-pilot, the great and powerful Chris Scott. And this is the podcast about testing out your ideas, taking your first steps, and really overcoming those obstacles on the way to entrepreneurship. Enjoy. Let's tell me if this makes sense to you. My gym opens up at 4 or 4:30 in the morning every day, Monday through Friday.
Okay.
Right. So then I'm able to wake up at 4, be at the gym at 4:30, be done with my workout circa 5:36, roll back home, take Grizzly for a W. I can't say the full word because if I say the full word, he gets all fucking keyed up. Just like I can't say the full PARK word either. That'll lose his mind. Yeah. So we go on a W and then I'm able to come back, shower and all that kind of stuff. And so I'm ready. I'm able to sit down at my desk, 7 a.m., like ready to rock. The problem is that for some reason, the gym doesn't open up until 6 a.m. on Saturdays. And it's like, that's the day everybody can wake up. You know what I mean? It's like, it's harder for most people to wake up earlier on the weekdays because ostensibly they have families, they have whatever, like they have obligations that keep them locked into a different kind of daily rhythm. But on the weekends, the days of rest, so to speak, people are able to get up earlier or do whatever the fuck they want because they can take a nap later in the day, or they don't have to take their kids to school, or they don't have to do whatever. But yet that's the day. And then it gets even worse. On Sunday, they don't open till 7. So what is the point of me waking up so early if I can't get this shit? So then now I'm backlogged till 6. 6 to 7 is about my workout time. Roll back through. Got to take Grizzly for a W. Got to do all that kind of stuff. So basically there's all this stuff gets just way too crammed together on my Saturday mornings. And it's pretty much all my gym's fault.
Right. Yeah, it's all your gym's fault.
Yeah, I mean, it just, like, just from a personal standpoint, does it make sense to you that they open up later on the weekends?
Well, you did say that the weekends are rest days. So are you ever taking a rest day?
Me, no.
Well, then maybe you should look into that.
No.
And then also, I'm sure there's like a logical reason why they open later. It's because probably everybody else takes a rest day and no one's there. So why open it up for one person for 3 hours?
That's true. Yeah, I mean, you're probably right because here's why you're probably right. They probably opened up at the same time every day of the week, but then discovered nobody was rolling in on Saturday that early. So because nobody has work, so nobody has to get it in before work. So therefore, okay.
Right. And also look into taking a rest day.
Maybe. I took a rest day in the middle of this week, actually, and that kind of suits me a little bit better because that way I'm just able to like wake up, read for a long time, then do all the other stuff and still get to my desk early. But yeah, no, Saturdays are the best days to work out, not the best days to rest because I have all day. I can take as long at the gym as I want to. It's not crammed together and all crappy.
Sure. But everybody's working for the weekend, though.
That's true. Everybody is working for the weekend. Well, it may be a moot point because have you seen the commercial for the Mirror?
Oh, is that new one? That new like Peloton-esque device?
Yeah, it's Peloton-esque. So the Mirror, I guess, this is what I've gleaned because now all of a sudden I was watching videos on it and I'll explain why. So I guess what it is, it's not the kind of thing that I would have bought, right? Because just from a general sense, because for me, it's like, okay, well, it costs like $34 a month for my lifting gym. Right now, jiu-jitsu is closed down because of COVID and etc.
Right.
So all I'm doing is lifting, but $34 a month, I show up, I lift their shit. Whatever. It's like, yeah, do I have to, sometimes on Saturdays start my day later and stuff like that? It's like, yes. Am I potentially exposing myself to COVID despite the fact that I wear a mask the entire time and I use Purell wipes on the equipment before I use it and after because I'm a good gym citizen and everyone should, those should be the key rules, right? Wipe down your shit, number 1. Number 2, re-rack your weights. Oh, God.
Yep, general advice for life even.
Yeah, that's general advice for life. Re-rack your goddamn weights. Anyways, so the mirror, I guess, is a Peloton-esque. In fact, you're so on the money by calling it a Peloton-esque device because it's even the business model seems Peloton-esque to me, just from what I've seen. But I guess it's actively a mirror, but it shows you images. It projects images too, and so it projects like an instructor doing a class, and this is like high-intensity interval training, or this is whatever. They have yoga. They have some plyo stuff. They have stretching. They have like workouts. They have
Don't they have like pulleys attached to the wall that you can pull on, or is that something else?
That's a separate. Okay, so that I think you're talking about is tonal.
Okay,
which is another device. Which I don't know what digital weight is because this ad keeps coming up on my Instagram, and it's like this guy. He's buff and he's whatever, and he's like, I bench 315. But then they set it to 150 on the tonal device, and he's like shaking on the way up. So it's like, so they say digital weight is different than like actual weight, but it's like, what is digital weight? Like, what is that?
That is interesting. I wonder if it's some sort of like resistant pulley mechanical device. I don't know.
It must be, right? Because I don't understand. Like, maybe I'm pretty simple, which I am, but I don't understand how. Because all it is the force applied to the object, right? And so it's, force equals mass times acceleration. We all know this, right?
Of course.
So what I don't understand is how something that is supposed to weigh 150 pounds digitally would require more force to move than something that would be 150 pounds. And this is where, like, if anyone, all of our 2 listeners will be typing in and being like, he's such a fucking idiot because he doesn't understand this. Anyways, I digress. So the mirror like has these workouts. I don't think it has pulley attachments, but it might. I don't actually know. I haven't looked that deep into it. So, but a sales rep, our number 1 sales rep, has been talking to me about it for going on like 6 to 8 months or something like that, like telling me about the mirror and how great the mirror is and all that kind of stuff. And first of all, though, he's got his own, like, he's living my dream because he has his own shed in the back of his yard. But it's not like a small shed. It's rather large, and it's his own home gym. And it's like, son of a bitch, that's exactly what I want. That's exactly what I want. But anyways, because then I eliminate this problem of now, 6 a.m. I can only go to the gym at 6 a.m. on Saturdays. Not a problem if you have your own gym. So he's been telling me about the mirror. I looked into it because he was like, oh, you got to get the mirror, man. You got to get the mirror. Especially when I was complaining about gyms shutting down during COVID.
Right.
So I look into it. It's $1,500 for the device itself. And then it's $40 a month for like
whatever classes,
you have to get you have a monthly membership. So it's like, okay, $480 across a year plus $1,500 up front. I was like, ooh, that's steep. Like, I'm working out for $34 a month at my gym, and this, like, even like the home workout type of thing, it's like, nah, I like to lift heavy weight. I like to do whatever. So this is all rounding somewhere, I promise. So yesterday, God, we've been working on this deal with, maybe I shouldn't. We've been working on this deal with some county somewhere that has been taking a long time. We were supposed to pull it in last year, but things just weren't, they're contracting their legal process. This week has been an absolute nightmare because just things were not organized properly. But now all of a sudden, this particular county is ready to close. And so I'm just like, like I'm doing everything, right? Because, oh no, the sales engineer is on a flight and we need this document now. And I'm not an engineer, so I don't know how to do it. But like, whatever, I'm going for it because nobody else is available. And so then yesterday, this sales rep, the top performer of our company every year, he asked me for my delivery address and an email. And I was like, oh, he's, every now and then they send me booze or something like that. Like, I got this really good bottle of scotch over New Year's.
Oh, nice.
Or for Christmas, but then I drank it all over New Year's because we were playing Settlers of Catan.
Oh, man. Nerd.
And I wanted to be a land baron, so I just like drank all the scotch. But then so I wake up this morning, the dude bought me a mirror.
Whoa, that saves you $1,500 right there.
Well, I mean, to be honest, I never was going to buy it, but but he bought me a mirror with a year access. So it's like all that upfront cost and stuff like that. So it's pretty cool. It's like, okay, I'll give it a shot. Like, let's see what happens.
Yeah, that's pretty now you have to do it because he talks about it all the time.
Yeah.
And he probably bought it for you, so he had someone to talk to about it.
Oh yeah, definitely. Right? Like, I feel like it's like being a CrossFit guy or something like that, but a lot of people do CrossFit. I don't actually know anyone other than him who does the mirror, so it's like he probably, yeah, you're right, he probably just needs to like talk about the mirror to somebody.
So now you have to work out twice a day.
Yeah, so now I'll do one in the morning and then I'll do some mirror stuff in the evening. I don't know, so maybe for our YouTube channel that hasn't really pushed anywhere yet, maybe I'll do a review of the mirror. But how are things on your end?
Things are going well. It's just another week. Yeah, it's a new year. Working on things, chipping away at projects. Nothing. I didn't get a mirror from a top seller. Yeah,
no mirror on Chris's end. Although you've got that studio space. That looks ideal.
Yeah, you could totally install that mirror here if you want.
Yeah. I mean, I think it requires a stable internet connection, which I think neither of us have. But
yeah, but it's fine. It's fine. It works enough.
Yeah. Well, great. So, I mean, that I guess is what counts for an intro on this podcast. But welcome back to the Ramen Profitable Podcast. We're continuing our series. I think this is the last one. This is the last one we were talking about for our kind of like new year, new you entrepreneur toolkit. What things are, going to be important or critical in 2021. And if I'm remembering my episodes clearly, we've arrived at the final tool in the toolkit. And this one's honestly my favorite. So I've really been, in fact, the whole reason I started talking about this is so I could talk about this particular. I set up this entire series just so I could get to this episode. This is what I wanted to talk about.
All right. And what is that tool for the toolkit?
We are talking about talent stacking.
Stacking.
Or pancake stacking, as Chris put it the other day.
Yeah, you got me in the mood to want pancakes. I haven't had them yet, but maybe tomorrow.
What do you think about pancakes with raisins?
I haven't tried it yet. I mean, we had them that one time. We had it that one time, but we just sprinkled them on top. I thought they had to be cooked in.
Oh, yeah, they have to be cooked in because it's a whole different thing. Why did he sprinkle them on top? I forget.
It wasn't him. It was the kitchen. I guess the kitchen didn't understand.
But it's on their menu.
I know.
Okay.
It was like 9 years ago. Who knows?
Yeah, exactly. Well, if we ever get to go dine in a restaurant again, and if we can go back to that same place, then let's go in for some raisin pancakes.
Sure. Yeah.
It's a Dutch thing. He doesn't understand.
Let's do it.
Okay. So back to the topic at hand. Talent stacking. So I feel like this is the concept du jour right now or something like that. It's really blowing up, or at least it certainly was last year and then into this year. Like I've seen a whole ton of blog posts about it and stuff like that. But really the concept of talent stacking originated from Scott Adams, of all people, who not many people know because he's the creator of Dilbert. Like that's his most, that's the thing that he's done that most people know, which was, syndicated in a lot of newspapers and all that kind of stuff. But it's not, it's not in my top 10 of like best cartoons of all time.
Because it was a newspaper cartoon, right? And also a cartoon.
Yeah. It was syndicated. Oh yeah, you're right. It was a TV show at one point in time too.
Yeah, I think it was on like Comedy Central late at night, maybe.
Huh. Well, yeah, interesting. I mean, it's definitely not the things that I am too. It wasn't really on my radar, to be honest with you. It wasn't. It
was before your time, probably.
It might have been before my time. It's kind of like when people talk about Doonesbury. I don't know shit about, like that was before my time. I read a lot of Calvin and Hobbes, though. I'm very familiar with Calvin and Hobbes. Not familiar with why everyone wants a sticker of Calvin peeing on things, though.
Yeah, I don't get that either. I think it's probably like a early 2000s, 90s punk thing.
Yeah.
Like it's something that like Green Day or
sure.
What's that other one?
NOFX?
No. That I'm thinking of. I'll think of it. And then I'll just randomly blurt it out.
Perfect. Because that's how you make a good podcast. So the creator of Dilbert, Scott Adams, he's most known for Dilbert, but he also has created a blog. He created a blog first, and then that kind of turned into a podcast. So he does a podcast called Coffee with Scott Adams. He was also one of the people who is of the group of people who take to Twitter who I actually think are good, like what I would want to use Twitter for, because most people use it to basically give status updates or then to retweet things from famous people. It's like, I don't give a fuck about any of that. But if people were using Twitter the way Naval Ravikant or Scott Adams do, which is that they just put big ideas there, and it's like, that's interesting. That I'll fucking read all day. He also does things on Periscope. So essentially, talent stacking came from, I think, one of Scott Adams' blogs, but he's then talked about it on his podcast quite a bit. There's several videos, like with interviews about it. It's really blown up since then, but it originated on his blog. And to put it simply, I guess to give some context, it would be incredibly difficult to be the best of the best of the best. That's a line from Men in Black. Best of the best of the best, sir. It would be really difficult to be the best filmmaker. You know, in Chris's, it's like you gotta compete with, I don't know, James Cameron or whoever like people think is the best, right?
James Cameron. Know. Wow, that was a.
I'm rewatching Entourage, and I'm on
the Aquaman season.
Yeah,
all right, yeah. All right.
So he was just top of mind. I don't know who's the best filmmaker.
I can't say. I don't know. I guess it's up for debate because it's so, dependent on the person's viewing choice and taste in movie. I guess, yeah. Justin Lee from the Fast and Furious movies.
Oh, yeah. Well, it would be okay. Yeah, exactly. So it would be very difficult to become the best of the best and do that one discipline. Like, I'm going to be the best filmmaker and I'm going to be better than Justin Lee, the creator of the Fast and the Furious franchise.
He wasn't the creator. He just like revitalized it. He kind of made them what they are today. Yeah.
Okay. He is.
I don't think it was Lee. I think it was probably Chu. I don't remember.
Well, you're just a fucking racist now.
I know.
We're going to have to do another like mini episode after this episode.
Of me just apologizing.
Yeah.
Lynn, it's Lynn.
Justin Lin.
Yeah. Apologies to
the Lin family.
The Lin family.
Anyways, so it'd be really difficult to make sure that you're the 1% of the people who are that, similarly, it'd be very difficult to be, a coder or something like that. And you are just miles ahead of everyone. You know what I mean? Like miles ahead of Gates and all the people that he has on his team, all the people that Google has on their team. Like that would be incredibly difficult to do, right? Like that's very nearly insurmountable, I guess one could say.
Did you ever watch like I don't know if it was the History Channel or something like that, but it came out maybe 10, 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. And it was when just to bring it back to Bond, of course. There was like a History Channel debunking like becoming Bond show, and they're like what it would take to become James Bond in real life.
Oh, is that what's on Hulu? Because there's something on Hulu called Becoming Bond, but I've never watched it.
No, that's about George Lazenby and how he became James Bond in On Her Majesty's Secret Service.
Oh, okay.
But no, it was real life people saying, hey, if you're an expert marksman, this is what you have to do to become an expert marksman. You have to shoot every day. You have to practice every day. If you want to be an expert driver, you have to drive every day. You have to hit the course more often than not. You have to, if you want to be an expert fighter, you have to, train every day at the gym. So how many hours in the day does it take to acquire all these skills to become an expert at them? Right. And that's encapsulated in this one person. And it's impossible, to be an expert lover. You have to love everybody every day.
Yeah.
Just how much time in the day is there to actually work on your craft and your skills in all of those areas to become an expert in them.
Yeah.
And it's impossible.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. It's incredibly difficult to become like the top tier talent in these fields, unless you are, born with some natural innate talent, and unless you commit every day, all the time to it, and some people do, like some people can and some people do, and that's great. However, what the concept of talent stacking really is, it ties really well into authenticity. We talked about authenticity last week. So, I kind of think that last week's episode and this week's episode kind of really pair really well together. But the very generalized kind of way to think about talent stacking is, instead of becoming the number one at one singular thing, you're becoming an expert, or at least good enough in a multitude or a sum of things that makes you very unique to the market. So therefore, instead of, and that kind of, this ties back philosophically to the blue ocean strategy, which, if you want to hear about blue ocean strategy, I think we talked about that back in Creativize, Strategize, Synergize. You can find our back catalog wherever podcasts are found. But anyways, but it kind of ties in really well with the concept of blue ocean strategy, in that it's not really about, you can go and try and compete and be the best weightlifter. You know what I mean? But everyone is already doing that. That's already a thing. You can go and compete and try and be the best filmmaker, but it's very oversaturated. But in the case of Scott Adams, what he says essentially, and how this originated, was, well, I wasn't really the best artist, and I wasn't really the best kind of like business guy. Like I didn't, have all that. And I wasn't really the best writer, and I wasn't really the funniest person. But because I was good enough at all of those different things, I was an office guy who also knew how to draw like cartoons and stuff like that, I was good at making funny observations, not, uproariously, like killing at comedy clubs or something like that. And I was good enough at writing and storyboarding and stuff like that. Because of he was good enough at each of those things, that really made a unique talent stack that enabled him to build a cartoon and a business around a cartoon that, nobody else could have pulled off. You're not going to see somebody who's able to do that same kind of breakout as Scott Adams, or similarly, nobody's going to outcompete. For instance, everyone knows my love for Joe Rogan, despite, I'm not really that in love with the transition to Spotify for various reasons, but we can talk about that at a different episode, I guess. But no one's going to outcompete Joe Rogan at being Joe Rogan, right? He's arguably one of the best podcast interviewers of all time. He works for the UFC. He's a stand-up comedian, and now he also has business ventures where he's, it's like, you're not going to outcompete someone like that. So that's where the new guru, Naval Ravikant, said a great phrase. Like I love the way he put this, and it pairs really well with talent stacking, which is the best way to escape competition is just to be authentic to yourself. So no one is going to out Scott Adams, and no one is going to out Joe Rogan. So the best way to make sure, essentially what talent stacking posits, is that the best way to put yourself in the 1% category is to sum up all your relevant and unique experiences and skills, work at those, and then make yourself kind of your own category.
Right. I mean, it's definitely something to... This makes me think of, we can read all these stories, like people's biographies, and try and be inspired by someone's journey to how they became successful. Mm-hmm. And try to mimic that, but you can't become somebody else. You can't travel someone else's path. You have to define your path and take your own journey to success and define it for yourself. So I do think this is definitely something that will help people, really look at themselves and be like, I'm kind of good at this. I'm kind of good at that. I enjoy this. Let me put these all together and do my own thing, create my own path. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's sort of the thing, I still struggle with it. today. And this is why I think this kind of thing requires some real, like, in order to practically apply this requires some real soul searching and like self-awareness. You know what I mean? Because up until, just, I don't know, even last year, maybe, I have been trying to, like, I've always been trying to check boxes, right? And so, growing up, I didn't know how to do anything else. My parents were both scientists. They both did the same thing. They both went to grad school and all that kind of stuff. So that was the only thing that I knew. So that was the only thing that I was trying to do. And then I kind of pivoted, switched, and I've been kind of not necessarily running around like a chicken with my head cut off the past couple of years, but not moving very purposeful or with much direction. And I think that that's because ultimately, like, you have to, in order to talent stack effectively and in order to really have it increase or do anything positive in your life, you have to make sure that you're kind of putting emphasis in the right places. And where that starts is doing some real deep soul searching and understanding what talents you already have. What things are you naturally drawn to, such that, when everybody else wants to put an 8-hour day in, you wouldn't mind going on that for 10, 12. You wouldn't mind putting in weekends. You wouldn't mind, whatever, all in pursuit of that sort of, I guess that pursuit or that talent or that habit or that whatever. So I think it requires a whole lot of self-awareness to be able to really effectively talent stack, like know where you're putting your effort and know where you're putting your eggs, so to speak.
Right.
I don't know. How have you like, because you're a little bit in a unique niche in Tucson specifically because you're not moving to LA and doing that. Like everyone essentially, for whether it be for commercial work or something like that, they would be moving to LA and doing that, which then effectively, I mean, that's fucking red ocean, right? Like that's oversaturated.
Right. Well, it's a big fish in a small pond here versus little fish in an ocean over there.
Yeah.
That type of mentality. I think what I'm hearing out of all this talent stacking is that it's not allowing you to put barriers up for yourself. Like, it's allowing you to be just okay at something. Mm-hmm. I'm just okay at invoicing people. I'm just okay at pitching stories to producers. I'm just okay at cinematography. But I'm kind of good at this, and I'm kind of good at writing, and I'm kind of good at, gluing it all together. So I think it allows you to kind of progress more. And as you progress more, you become more of an expert in those fields.
Yeah, totally. I mean, think about it this way, right? Like, and this is why I think talent stacking is, I mean, really the best time to have learned it was 2020, but the next best time to learn it obviously is today, because right now, this second, stop this podcast. No, don't stop this podcast. Keep listening. Then go do it.
And then stack your talents.
Yeah, then stack your talents and, hit like, subscribe, and comment. But think about, for instance, all the things like YouTube is blowing up, right? Like, people are making money off of YouTube in a way that has never, ever, ever been done before. And for instance, I see, what Tori watches a lot of, and while she's like getting ready and stuff like that, I see this all the time. And it's not just Tori. It's also my buddy Colton's wife and like all these people, like everybody. When Tori's sister came over, they were watching this video. Tori's friend came over, they're watching this. They watch these makeup artists on YouTube. Like, you've realized this is a thing now, right?
It's been a thing for a very long time.
Has it been?
Yeah. I feel like a lot of YouTube has been the same thing for the last 15 years.
Oh, man. Well, so maybe they've just learned how to monetize it differently then. Because people are making money off of YouTube in a way that they just weren't, that long ago. But I think about this and I'm like, okay, so here's this person who, obviously has some skill. Like, they're obviously skilled at doing this, but they would, if they were the best at this, then ostensibly they would be doing it for, photo shoots with the Kardashians, or I don't know what the peak of that industry is like, but I imagine that's something like what it would be, right? Or like doing it for fashion shows or something like that. But this person definitely has, like, they have good enough skill in that it's something that the average person can't do. Then this person has like, they can make something entertaining. They're making an entertaining video. They're able to communicate what they're doing effectively. They're able to, present well and all that kind of stuff. And then they also have the skill of how to, create a captivating video, how to edit things correctly, how to, do audio and all this kind of stuff. Like they have some kind of video editing and creation ability. So while they're not the best makeup artist, and while they're not the best, public speaker or whatever, and while they're not the best video creator or like editor or what have you, they're good enough at all three of those things to have to have videos that have more than 1 million views and that they're monetizing this and just crushing. Right. So I like what you're saying actually, just before this, where you're saying that like it kind of forgives you or it allows you to not be the best in that thing, because that's something I think we've had a conversation about this multiple times. Is that's something I struggle with, right? I'm always thinking like, oh, let me go get another degree. Let me go get another certificate. Yeah. But instead, just, if you just create a unique sort of talent stack for yourself and you are good enough at these things, it's not that you don't have to continually be pursuing that or something like that, but it's like it frees you from this need or this feeling that like, oh, I always have to be getting the next piece of paper or the next thing that qualifies me as an expert. It's like, no, I can do this job and I can do it really well.
Right. It makes it all about your progress, not about perfection. I feel like a lot of people focus on perfection and like I need to be certified in something, to be giving advice on this certain topic.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's like, no, if you can provide results, that's what people respond to. That's what people connect with. They don't connect with whatever piece of paper you have hanging on the wall. I mean, how often do people ask you about your degree?
Never.
And it's just,
And I spent so much time getting them to.
But
nobody gives a shit.
But people connect with results. If you can provide results to people, if you provide a service and you can deliver results for them, people will connect with that. And then you become more and more of an expert the more results you provide. Because then it's about you and your skills that you're sharing, not perfection that you're focused on at the beginning.
Yeah. And so that's kind of, I realized that it's kind of small at the moment, but I realize at my work, I kind of have a unique talent stack. And that's why recently things have been hitting high speed for me, because I'm not a sales guy. Everyone thinks that I'm a sales guy, but I'm not a sales guy. Like, not really, because I don't have the nerve to, just like gamble on or it seems like gambling to me, and that's why I'm not a sales guy, right? I don't have the nerve to be, I'm just going to ride these deals and I have a quota I have to make and maybe it'll come in, maybe it won't. It's like, I'm not that guy, right? I value stability a little bit more than the rush of, like getting a big sale and all that kind of stuff. So I started my career in a sense under kind of more of like an analytical and data oriented track. But quickly, because I'm not the best at, I don't have a finance background, but all the people I work with have finance backgrounds. I just understand math enough, to be able to do what I do. Like, I don't understand, like they do things, they say things like amortizing and blah, 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 all this kind of stuff. We're going to do a profitability analysis. It's like, that doesn't really mean anything to me, but I understand the math. I understand the concepts. So therefore I just follow the logic. Like I don't have to know all the fancy finance terms or something like that. I just follow the math. So I'm good enough at the math to do kind of this geeky sort of behind the laptop thing. But there are people who are better than me at that. Like, there are people I work with who are better than me at that. But what those people don't have is they specifically are not in a customer facing role. They don't want to talk to clients and they can't explain things over the phone. They don't present well at meetings or at, city council or all that kind of stuff. So I've carved a unique niche because it's like, because I spent so many years in the service industry, I'm perfectly comfortable just, reaching out and talking to someone, I'm perfectly comfortable saying, oh, I don't know that yet, but let me go find out. I'll make sure I find that out for you. Or I'm comfortable saying, oh, I'm so sorry, sir, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. It's like I'm able to do these things. So therefore, I'm able to help the sales team by actually getting on calls. I'm able to do things. And then they don't, need to read this lengthy email from, our data team or something like that. I'm able to just present basically for customers and explain to them why this is a good deal or why it's not a good deal. Why all the kind of nitty gritty data stuff, I'm able to put it into a concise statement and just speak and present. So I'm not the best at the finance side of things and, even the math and all that. And I'm certainly not the best at the sales side of things, but because I'm good enough at both, I'm riding this kind of middle line that nobody else can compete with me in my current workspace. There's nobody who does what I do. I work my position alone because I have this kind of unique bridge on both. And so understanding this and understanding that sort of talent stacking there, I am now starting to kind of do the deep soul searching to try and work out what that looks like for, my life outside of the job, outside of the current job. It's like now I want to start shifting focus and thinking about, my career as an entrepreneur, the business that I want to start, and how am I going to, because as you and I have already talked about, there evidently are competing products out there. Yeah. It's narrow. It's a narrow field, but it looks like there are people who are thinking the same way I am, that they recognize this is a narrow field. They recognize this is going to be a building spot. They see the potential. So I'm not the first one to have this idea, and I won't be the last. But I have to start thinking about how I'm going to uniquely position myself to be more successful in this field.
Exactly. That's something that I try to do as well with Elephant Scout. It's like, what do I bring to the table? Mm-hmm. I'm ethnic. I come from a diverse background. I have, my experiences in life I'm bringing to the table, and that's what's making my stories unique. And it's something that only I can tell. And they're not perfect stories. They're not done well. They're not done perfectly. They're not done at the Hollywood standards, I guess, as you could say, which is what a lot of other companies here in town strive for. They kind of just strive for execution, technically. Like, I have the best camera. The technical camera aspect that I have is perfect. Right. I have $40,000 worth of lighting equipment, and it's, all these things. It's not really them, it's gear. And they're not bringing anything of them to the table. Right. It's how they use this gear. Whereas I'm trying to bring all of my tiny, unique aspects into the film projects that I'm creating and presenting them, and hopefully connecting with an audience more so than with a piece of equipment, which is what I find a lot of people do in filmmaking.
Yeah, I mean, even consider the projects that you engage on. I mean, I don't really know much about the scripted podcast or anything like that, but for instance, doing Good Cop, Mon Cop, and the series that's kind of trying to move off of there, it's that's unique to Chris Scott because I mean, forgive me if I don't remember, but your mother works in law enforcement, right?
She's retired.
Yeah. Or she used to, yeah. And
she's retired 10 years, and she just turned, she's turning 62 this year.
Holy shit.
Yeah, how insane is that?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Man, see, I'm positive that if you do it right, you don't have to do this work until you're 75 thing.
No, you don't.
Or 60 or something like that. Because it's my parents are old. My mom just retired and my dad still isn't retired. Now, a part of that is a love for the job and bullshit like that.
What keeps them going. Also, your mom's home all the time, but I'm
Yeah. But for me, I'm if I can, it's man, I want to retire by 45. But that's besides the point. But yeah, it's your mom was former law enforcement, and also you have a love, you were kind of brought up on those movies, 80s movies, right? And that was a big part of you growing up. So I kind of feel even just in how you choose your projects and what you're kind of electing to work on is a direct, authentic representation of yourself. So it's, the less of the focus on, I don't even know enough about, this is my Canon Red. That's the only camera I know. Is that even still a thing?
That's they're two different brands. Canon is its own brand, and Red is its own camera. But they're both good cameras, though.
Okay, well, whatever. The point is that instead of focusing so much on like, oh, I've got the Red and I've got this set up and I'm doing this, specifically, it's like you're more focused on presenting like elements of yourself and then connecting with the audience members who also like have those sorts of things, whether it's like a love for, action movies or movies in the 80s, or whether it's, the kind of unique familial background that's kind of presented in Good Cop, Mom Cop. It's like it is ultimately a unique representation of yourself. So, and that's kind of why I was curious to talk about this with you, because you're in sort of a really unique place with talent stacking and all that, because not only are you trying to run a business with very a very competitive business, so obviously you want to be talent stacking to be able to carve a niche for yourself, but also you're in a place where the difference between a good movie and a bad movie is rarely, or at least from the layman's perspective, not I'm sure there are people who know things not like me, but from a layman's perspective, it's like the difference of a good movie and a bad movie is rarely, in my perspective, about the technical aspects of it.
Right. No one cares about it.
Nobody cares about that. Like, there are obvious examples, for instance, I finally watched Tenet, and there are parts where it's like the music's so loud, I was like, I have no idea what the fuck this guy's saying, like, at all.
We should talk about Tenet at some point.
We should talk about Tenet? Okay, we'll put that on the books. But yeah, it's like rarely is there a technical aspect. Like, I don't notice when something is going weird with the camera or when the audio is a little off. If it's super obvious that the mouth is still moving but the audio is going, then maybe, but it's rarely about technical anything, which means that what I'm actually thinking what makes a good movie versus a bad movie is how much am I connecting with the story? How much do I like the characters? How much is this pleasing the way this looks? Like kind of more generalized things like that. So in a way, it's like movies, and I feel like music and books are a unique representation of talent stacking, because not only are you the person, the brand, sort of having to talent stack to carve a unique niche for yourself, unless you're a major studio or something like that, but also your work in and of itself is somewhat a representation of that talent stack, because it'll look the way it does, like the way you do color correction or the way you do, whatever. I mean, you're doing most of these things yourself, right?
Right.
So
and
it's
not
like,
that
it's
great. Just good enough.
Just good enough. But it's going to look the way it looks because you have made it look the way that it looks. Mm-hmm. And it's going to sound that way. And the characters, like, you might get good performances, but if the particular take doesn't convey what you want it to, then you're going to redo the take, right? So the movie in and of itself is like, it seems like it's a distillation of your talent stack or something.
Right. I mean, when we had Sarah Jackson on in Creative I Strategize Synergize way back when,
yeah,
she had a quote where she said, "Your art is not complete without an audience." And I think a lot of us forget about that part. We all get caught up in process. We get caught up in ourselves. But we're trying to provide a service. We're trying to sell something. We're trying to share a story. And when you do that, you're sharing it with an audience, and it's not with yourself, and it's not with your fellow peers that are doing the same thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you can get advice from, I get advice from other screenwriters and film directors and editors to give notes on what I'm working on, but it's not the same as sharing it with an audience. An audience that has no knowledge as to how movies are made, an audience that has no knowledge as to where stories come from. But the only connection they have with the product you're providing is the actual product.
Right.
And so being able to, use my mediocre writing skills and my mediocre editing skills and actually being able to throw an event or a screening where people can come and watch things. It's, putting all those things together, I think does make an Elephant Scout experience unique and kind of stands out from everyone else. And it allows me to be myself in all of those experiences, which is what you were saying. Yeah.
Yeah, man, I even forgot about the event part of it. But it's like, yeah, I've been to like a couple like film premieres in Tucson, or even in a different kind of vein, I've been to like album premiere parties, right, at the Rock or something like that. And it actually is, it's like, it probably as a result of also all the, you know, kind of the corporate experience that you have with, you know, Cox Media or whatever, like all these event style things. It's like, you also know, it's like, are you an event planner? No. You know, no. But you know enough about doing it. And I got to say, like, that's also maybe something that's not acknowledged in your talent stack, but should be, is the ability to just like say, I'm going to try this. Like, I'm going to go do this and, you know, whatever, like I'm going to figure it out. Right. Because so not only your experience being at events and being a part of events and stuff like that, but also your unique talent. Because I'll tell you, you know who isn't like that? Me.
Yeah, you're the complete opposite. Yeah,
I'm exactly the opposite. It would never come to my mind to be like, oh yeah, I should put on an event. It's like that's not at all. I'm even having a hard enough time like doing any kind or being helpful at all in planning my wedding. It's like I don't do any of that, right? But yeah, so it's like, I think a very valuable part, and maybe one that we need to recognize a little bit, is a big part of your talent stack is also just your willingness to try something, your willingness to like go out and do something, maybe fail, maybe succeed, like you don't know, but your willingness to do that is a big part of your talent stack. And that's a big part of what kind of makes you successful in the niche that you carve for yourself. Because it's like, man, I can't think of the last time like there was somebody who was premiering, you know, generally the way the film premieres that I've gone to in Tucson, they're like either showing at the Loft or the Screening Room or something like that. So first of all, right off the bat, you differentiated yourself by going to the Rialto. It's like ballsy move.
Yeah,
Dope.
way different. Yeah.
But then second of all, it was like, you know, we're kind of doing like a cocktail hour beforehand. Then we're all sitting down and it's like you're putting on an event. You come out and you're presenting and stuff like that. And or man, even like both of them, the Eddie Mummy one, you know, throwing a band in the mix, making it into kind of like a party afterwards and all that kind of stuff. It was just different than the way people are doing it in Tucson. Like they're, you know, because I've been to the ones at the Screening Room or whatever, and they'll do like a Q&A after that or something like that. And then everyone goes home. Like that's how it goes. It completely makes it so much more forgettable.
Yeah. Because it makes it so much like everyone else. It's nothing, there's nothing unique about it. So
yeah, exactly. It's like I go to the movies and, you know, there are some movies like Tenet where, you know, you're going to be talking about it after because that's one of the best. Like he actually is the in the 1%. What's his name?
Christopher Nolan.
Nolan, thank you. Yeah. It's like, yeah, you don't want to, as a local filmmaker, you don't want to try and compete with Christopher Nolan. Just like, here's the movie, you're going to watch it, people are going to talk about it after. It's like, maybe not though. Like, I don't know if you're Christopher Nolan level, you know what I mean? But if you are paying attention to your talent stack, you know the individual things that sum together you can do better than Christopher Nolan. Then like, yeah, do that. That's a better track. So man, it's really interesting. Like thinking about it, like thinking about your field, because no matter what, the work that I spit out currently is the same. Like at my current job, that is rather like, it doesn't matter necessarily. Like I get things done faster, more accurate, you know, whatever. I have more attention to detail, yada, yada, yada. Like those things are all necessarily true, but it's not like my work currently reflects my particular talent stack. Whereas in the, I don't know if I would
maybe
call
it does. Maybe it does. Maybe your ability to condense a long email to something that's digestible by common people. Maybe your ability to, you know, optimize a presentation to, you know, to potential clients, you know, your ability to translate jargon from different departments. Yeah. So they all can, you know, workflow together better.
So there might be something there, but that's sort of what I'm looking forward towards with Flow Roll. Because here's immediately, like right off the bat, it's like the two things that stick out to me, and because this is something that I elected to do, not something that, you know, oh, I need to get a job or I need to pay bills or something like that, because trust me, this is eating up more money of mine than it is like nothing. It's not, there is no payoff yet. But already off the top, it's like because it originated as a project that I wanted to start doing, already that helped me identify where my talent stack in that endeavor is. It's like, well, I have a neuroscience background and some biomedical, so I have always been interested in supplementation and like optimizing things through, nutrients, vitamins, supplements, etc. And then simultaneously, I've been doing martial arts for a good portion of my life. So already that it like makes me feel, and I haven't researched that much into the backgrounds of the competitors or anything like that, but it makes me feel like I have a unique thing to bring to this market because I'm not only just doing it to start a supplement business or something. I'm doing it because I want to use it and because I want to use it on the mats tomorrow. I want to go train.
You need to save this and put it on your cold call script. I'm a neuroscientist and background in biomedical. Not only that, I've been doing martial arts for 95 years. Put that in your cold call script.
Damn, this is the wisdom of Chris Scott right here. Because Chris in general, like just his background is like whether it's because you've been kind of more bold with your career right off the jump. You know what I mean? It's like you've been in your own business now for a while, right?
Yes.
But that's part of Chris's talent stack. It's like he's just he's more risk tolerant than I am, which is one of the ones that Scott Adams mentioned, was that he was just like, yeah, I required a certain amount of risk tolerance to get out of my office job and to get into my own thing. And so Chris is in general more risk tolerant than me. And so therefore, because he has just more experience in this, like he is aware of the things that make a good mission statement, or aware of the things that like, this is the stuff you want to be putting or you want to be like bucketing this stuff. It's like all that other stuff you're paying a whole bunch of attention to. That's just the dressings. Like this is the core stuff. And that's why, Chris is able to run his own effective mission driven company, because it all points back to bringing films that are an homage to your upbringing and etc., but also bringing in diversity into diversity and inclusion into a field where, up until very recently, there was like none, right? Everybody was Brad Pitt, some white guy, and every actress was, some white chick. And that was basically all the movies. That it's for a lot of it, that still is a lot of the movies, but things are, getting a little better.
Things are progressing. Yeah.
Things are progressing. But you're able to do a mission driven company because it's like you have figured out through trial and error what the important stuff is and what the not important stuff is. I'm still so like flighty on all that kind of stuff that I'm never sure. So I'm just like telling a story, and then you're able to pick out like, that's the important shit. Make sure you recognize it. It's like I'm just going off the cuff, right? So the point being is that like I can already see a path forward on my specific talent stack towards what I want to, because I also have some general business experience now. Like I coordinate a lot of shipments to a lot of stuff, like high volume things. I, am speaking to customers all the time. I'm doing this. So it's like bringing that to the table now with the unique talent stack of having done martial arts for a long time and a science background. It's like, oh, this is actually starting to pan out. Like this sort of makes sense. And so I think that's where this deeply kind of connects with authenticity, is that it's like, this is something that I'm genuinely interested in, and something that happens to fall in my like it can't be a coincidence, right? That this happens to fall in my talent stack, and this is now something that I'm interested in starting and doing. They're connected.
Everything's connected.
Everything's connected.
It's like it's like this crazy thing called life, setting you on this wild journey to get you to this point where all the paths cross and intersect at this one fork in the road.
Is that the plot of Interstellar?
Probably. Well, I think that's more time-based, more so than.
Yeah. Well, I mean, love is the only thing that transcends space and time, or whatever. Wait, were we? Oh yeah, we were going to talk about Tenet. Should that just be part of a general Christopher Nolan conversation? Because I think we were going to talk about that in general as well.
We can. Yeah, let's do that. Let's do a general Christopher Nolan conversation.
I've got a love-hate relationship with Christopher Nolan movies, and Tenet is curious.
Yeah. Oh, Tenet.
So the point being is that like if you're a listener who's younger than 30, which is where I'm at.
Or younger than 40.
Or younger than 40. Well, that's implied. If you're
young at heart.
Yeah, if you're a listener who's younger than 40 and or a listener who's younger than 30.
And or young at heart.
And or young at heart, so an entrepreneur at any age, one of the things that just to save you some time, I guess, or just to encourage you to save you some time. Not that that's necessary, because I read this book called Late Bloomers. We can do that on a different episode as well. But the point is like, in order to kind of save you time, and this is something that I'm like kicking myself for not having done, a while back, and not for Chris's lack of trying. Because that's the thing. It's like, we've had this conversation so many times, but it wasn't really until I kind of put the work in myself. So that goes to show you that people can be telling you the right stuff all the time. But if you're not willing to put the work in, and if you're not, actively doing it yourself, it's not going to mean shit. But basically, figure out that authenticity piece, because that will start to pull the threads on your unique talent stack. So do the soul searchy element of it, even if it starts with just like, what is something that you find yourself doing every day, not because you have to, but because you want to, and obviously like watching TV is not one of those things, unless somehow you can make money off doing that. Maybe you become a streamer or something like that. I have no idea what that looks like. But the point is like, I think where this starts is it starts with
identifying your strengths and your weaknesses.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
being okay with your weaknesses and not letting them stop you.
Yeah. Yeah. Precisely. Which that was actually primarily most of my struggles, is like me halting myself because I didn't have a piece of paper that told me I was the best. I don't know what that's about, but the point is that really do the work, do the soul searching, do the, be interested, be curious. And then from there, just start to dial in those specific things, start to really put it into practice. Now, the other side of this, here's the downside to the talent stack. You're going to have to be constantly working, because if you're not building on each of those things every time, then you are not driving the true success that you could by being this unique niche. Like you never know how far you would have to go on each of these things until you make it. So you don't know if by you deciding like, fuck it, I'm not gonna, in Chris's case, like, I'm not going to take on any more projects right now. I'm just going to do commercial work. I'm not going to do any, I'm not the scripted podcast, which is creative work, or, any film that he's doing or anything. Like, you never know if that is, you might not be capitalizing on your talent stacks, and you might not be pushing them any further if you're not exercising them. So that's the thing. It requires the constant work. But start early, be curious. Don't be dismayed by, not being an expert or not being the top or whatever, and keep driving and keep pulling on those threads. I mean, I'm still a rookie at this, and I'm still trying to figure it out. But for the first time in my life, I actually feel like I'm in the right place. So it's good.
That's good. Good job, Atish.
Yeah, gold star for me. Chris, anything to plug?
Nice growth. Just follow me on Elephant Scout. We'll be announcing the podcast soon on Elephant Scout, the Instagram at Elephant Scout. And then the podcast is going to launch February 23rd.
Ooh.
Yes. And we still don't have a title. I mean, we have a potential title, but we'll know on Tuesday when I announce it.
So a month from today.
Yeah. No, a month and a day from today.
That'd be the 24th.
Well, this podcast comes out on a Monday, right?
Oh, right.
I guess, you know how months are? Like a month. I don't understand how you announce things like 1 month out, even though it's like 26 days. It doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. Yeah, that's, I forget. I was reading something that basically said that if we did our numbers based a different way, like we work off of a base 12 system.
Okay.
Right? So like inches and all that kind of stuff, like our system's kind of fucked up. But if we instead worked off of a base 10 system, all of our months would be square and aligned, and they would have the exact same number of days, because we do 365 days divided into 12 months. But instead, if we do, you see what I'm saying? So it's like we could have perfectly square months, and I don't know why we don't do that.
I don't know either, man. Because the metric system just sounds so much better.
Well, we made our concept of time based around seasons, but that was when we were a primarily agricultural society. It's like, I don't want to uproot everything here or anything like that, but it's like, we're not anymore. So who cares about that? Why don't we instead make it based on something else, like something a little more logical?
Yeah, get rid of daylight savings. Not that we
observe
participate
it. So
in that.
Yeah, that I have no idea. Nothing much to plug from me at Atish Mazish on Instagram. I have the first stack for the Ramen Profitable Reading List. Again, a social media account that I have not created. But I have the first stack almost complete. I'm finishing up the last book for the month of January. So then I'm going to be doing a write-up on those, or maybe even a quick video. Not sure. Playing around with it. Talent stacking, baby. We're seeing how it goes. So make sure you follow on that. And last of all, listening to the podcast, please like, comment, subscribe. Do all those things, because not only does it tell us what things are good, what is good content, all that kind of stuff, but in the near future, I would like to start integrating more stories from the field, more young entrepreneurs out there hustling. So give us a shout.